So we are doing some macro photography with the Fujifilm GFX 50s II, along with a Tamron 90mm Canon EF macro lens. Come along and I show you the steps that I take in when shooting macro photography in nature. And also don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more macro photography or nature photography in general, or maybe you're more interested in the Fujifilm GFX 50s II. Let's go. So one thing I try to do when photographing macro, especially macro, but nature in general, is to go really slow and really try to relax and really see what piques my interests. It could be a color, it could be some sort of texture, it could be a fallen leaf on a really special place. It can be anything, so just try to open your mind up to whatever. And sometimes when you don't see anything, just stop, go down and really focus and see, just try to explore nature in another way that you usually do when you have normal type of photography. So macro photography is a little bit different in that sense. So even though you're shooting macro, don't forget you don't always have to photograph one-to-one magnification. You can step back a little bit and get more in the frame also. So I found this green moss like everywhere on big logs here, and I'm gonna go around a little bit, check it out and see if I can get some nice colors and textures to my images. We'll see. There's not really much that blooms now. There ain't no flowers. We have no insects or bugs. So you have to search for what you can find, and that is textures and things that stand out a little bit more. So we'll see. I'm gonna go along, check it out. So what I love about macro photography is that you don't have to go far. You can just take your backyard or go out to the closest forest, really, or whatever you have. And because macro photography is literally everywhere. So just buy a cheap macro lens and you are good to go. Let's continue. So I found this abandoned boat lying here. It's really old metal, but we can definitely see if there's any cool old textures that we can photograph from it. And if you're wondering about the Fujifilm GFX 50s II with the 90mm macro from Tamron, originally made for Canon EF, it covers the sensor pretty good, I would say. I've used it quite a lot, and I will throw up some pictures. I will show you some pictures. I think the sharpness is really good, and now you can find these for quite cheap, and that goes along with a lot of other macro lenses. And one thing you have to keep in mind is that, I mean, macro lenses has been really sharp for the last, I don't know, 10 20 years. So you cannot go wrong. If you find something that covers the GFX sensor, just adapt that and try it out. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on it, really. You can find this lens for, I would say, around $200 now, maybe. It has IS on it, and yeah, it's a really fantastic lens, and it covers the Fujifilm GFX sensor. You have a slight vignette, but it's totally correctable in post. So just try it out and do some macro photography. It's really fun and challenging. Okay, so one tip I have for focusing in macro photography is you can't use autofocus. It's not reliable. So you're forced to use manual focus. And what you do is you sort of frame it up like you want to. I gotta take an example on this one right here. So I frame it up the way I want to. I put the manual focus on, and then I slowly go back and forth. And when I see it's in focus, I take the shot. It's such tiny movements that makes the subject goes in and out of focus. So you have to be really aware of that. So to sum up, this was not a great day for photography. The weather was quite boring. But my main tips for doing macro photography is to really slow down. You can choose an area where you go and focus on that area as much as you can. So go through it and see if there's anything that piques your interest from the get-go. And if there's not, just slow down, sit down, and take a deep look at the small things, really, because that's what macro is all about. But the small things are hard to see if you don't look for them specifically. So I hope you got something out of this. And I'm gonna continue doing macro photography, and especially I do it in the spring and in the summer, where there's a lot of insects, there's a lot of leaves on the trees, and there's a lot of stuff going around. So I hope you get something out of it. And if you're wondering anything about the Fujifilm GFX 50s II with the 90mm macro, just hit me up with a question and I'll be happy to answer it. See ya. Take care.